आतमध्ये येऊ नका बरं का, एक तास. हा काय नाही ना, टेबल नाही, बसलो मी आता. Hello students. सर स्टार्ट कर दूं? आवाज़ वगैरह आ रही है वहाँ पे? हाँ हाँ, मैंने किया है वो, लेकिन वहाँ पे आवाज़ ठीक से नहीं आ रहा था, तो मैंने इसकी वजह से आपको कॉल किया. ठीक है सर, मैं स्टार्ट करता हूँ, आप बताइए फिर. ओके ओके. Hello students, welcome to IQRA Technology in Prelims. Frankly, because science and technology is difficult to prepare. Why it is difficult to prepare? The simple reason behind that is that the science and technology basically is given in a very vague way. That they have said that the awareness in the science and technology, but this is not a. So there is a vastness that is being applied to the that is being applied on the subject particularly, or we can also say that that is one thing, because we cannot understand everything in the Nobel Prize. If we understand everything in the Nobel Prize prizes, then obviously we will win the Nobel Prizes. So that is not the case. So generally, what is the thing? It is vast and it is vague. These two things make science and technology a difficult topic for preparation. It is even difficult for the people who can be expected. So again, if you have any doubts particularly, okay. So to begin with, let's start with the first MCQ. With reference to Wolbachia method, consider the following statements. Now this is one of the new. This method basically appeared in news few days back, and because of that we are doing this particular question as such. So with reference to Wolbachia method, consider the following statements. It is used to control viral diseases spread by the mosquitoes. It involves introducing Wolbachia bacteria into mosquitoes to reduce their ability to transmit disease. And which of the statements given above are correct? Is or are correct? 1 only, 2 only, both 1 and 2, neither 1 and 2. So first thing in this, just before you go to the answer, just first see what type of question it is. Now this is a question from the current affairs of the science and technology, and it is asking you a simple thing, what it is. It is not asking in detail as to what this method is, what has to be done in this method, what actually is. Lot of chatbots also. If you go on that, the first paragraph of it, the first paragraph, what it is about, that amount of awareness is required. The answer is You can even guess on it. So it is both 1 and 2. Okay, now why? So the answer is both both the statements are correct. The now statement 1, if you have to explain it, the Wolbachia method is used to control viral diseases. So first, it was about control by the mosquitoes Aedes aegypti. Now that you must be aware about dengue, Zika and chikungunya. So that is उसमें कुछ नया नहीं है, मतलब कि ये dengue. Statement 1 is correct. The Wolbachia method is used to control the viral disease. And one thing you understand, being a developing country, in Indian sense, those viral diseases are very here, that these many people have died because of dengue or Zika, mostly because of dengue, we can say, in the urban areas. So there are large number of significant one. Okay, so this method is used to control the viral disease. Again and again I am repeating, this is current affairs news, so we have to know. So, this is like, we do not hear like in Germany these many people have died because of the dengue or because of chikungunya. Chikungunya death doesn't rarely happens, but chikungunya chikungunya is basically impacting a people a lot as such in that cases. So here it is a pressure on the public health system also. So public health, we know what is the situation of the public health when we visit the government hospitals and all those things. So if we have some method which can actually control it, then obviously it helps a lot in many senses. Okay, now let's move on to the statement 2 as to what is correct. This statement 2 is also correct. The Wolbachia, what was the statement? Let's look into the statement. It involves introducing Wolbachia bacteria into mosquito to reduce their ability to transmit disease. The important part is it introducing bacteria into the mosquito? So that is what has to be checked over here, right? So let's move on and see what is there. The Wolbachia is a naturally occurring bacteria introduced into the mosquitoes. So what we are doing, the process, it is about the simple process. And again, it is not in detail that how it is introduced and all those things. So you don't need to worry about all the things over here. You just need to be aware about, okay, that this is a naturally this Wolbachia method is a method where we actually turn naturally occurring bacteria is introduced into the mosquitoes. Now this is what is done in the Wolbachia method. Only this much is enough. No need to go into how it is and where it is. So only this much amount of information is required. Now when we introduce the bacteria, what is it doing? It is reducing their ability to transmit viruses by interfering with viral replication or shortening the mosquito's lifespan. So it is shortening the lifespan of the mosquito. That is another important point. So again I would read it. It reduces their ability to transmit viruses. Transmit the viruses, like for example in dengue and all those things, the mosquitoes transmit the virus into the human beings. But so that is reduced. So ability of the virus. Moving ahead to the next question. With reference to Web 3.0, consider the following statements. The Web 3.0 enables people to control their own data. Statements. First statement, Web 3.0 technology enables people to control their own data. In Web 3.0, there can be blockchain-based social networks. Third statement, Web 3.0 is operated by you. So first one and 2, 2 and 3, 1 and 3, or 1, 2 and 3 all. So what technology enables people to control their own data? Second statement, in Web 3.0 there can be blockchain based social networks. And the third one, Web 3.0 is operated by collectively rather than a corporation. All these statements are correct. So let's see the explanation of this. So statement 1, Web 3.0 emphasizes decentralized technologies. The decentralized technologies like blockchain allowing users to control their data rather than centralized entities. So in blockchain we all know that we can control our own data. Okay, it is not like we have to depend on the companies and all those things to protect our to control our data and all those things. In blockchain we can save our own data and that acts like in ledgers and all those things. So that is what it is. So Web 3.0 important point is it allows a decentralized technologies like blockchain allowing users to control their data rather than centralized entities. Okay, so it's like centralized entities, we mean tech companies. So rather than going to tech companies for using their data and all those things, instead of that, in Web 3.0, we can emphasize the decentralized technologies like the blockchain. I hope you now blockchain is becoming very significant, significant in terms that even governments and all those things are relying on that. The statement 2, basically blockchain based social networks where data is stored of the decentralized regions are a feature of Web 3.0, ensuring transparency and user control. So blockchain based social networks where data is stored on decentralized ledgers are feature of Web 3.0, ensuring transparency and user control. So decentralized ledgers. So it is, as I said, these we do not have to go into tech companies, their servers and all those things, and then find out the blockchain basically. Instead of that, what we have to look into is we have to look into the we just store the data into decentralized ledgers basically means and discussions that you have done, and that is being recorded. So that is the statement 2, that is correct. Web 3.0 is driven by decentralized protocols enabling collective user operations through mechanisms like DAO, that is decentralized autonomous organizations, rather than corporate control. So instead of corporate control, it is decentralized. That is the significant thing about the correct. Okay, so I hope you understood what is given over here, and with the next question of the plants. Now this is again agriculture, both the things, and population most of the year. Now the same thing again. Okay, so let's correct. Basically involves a sexual repeating of the gametes. When it happens, it is called as a out. So it is basically without the production of that. So producing genetically identical plants. Okay, so so a sexual reproduction, that is very important. That is very important point over here. Again through cuttings and graftings. Okay. Now this because through asexual reproduction has happened, the genetic population, genetics of the asexual reproduction has happened, the genetic population, genetics of the plant genetics of the plant. Next statement incorrect. Propagation. In fact, it can perpetuate. Next statement incorrect. Propagation. In fact, it can perpetuate viral infections. Since reverse of that it does not eliminate the viruses, but it actually can perpetuate viral infections because they are genetically identical to the parents. So what is now these viruses does not actually identical. Now genetical identical and all those things we will see in some year under controlled conditions. Here example, the seed based propagation. We know various plants, they have to be grown into particular period of the year only, because now that is not there. Under these conditions you can actually propagate the vegetative propagation can be done actually. Okay, so this is one of the questions. So if you have again if there are questions, then it can be asked in the comment box. With reference to 5G technology, consider the following statements. Now 5G everyone is using now. So 5G that you should have awareness about the high frequency bands compared to 4G, and immune to cyber attacks 1 and 2, 2 and 3, 1 and 3, and 1, 2 and 3. Let's see the answer and the explanation of this. Answer is first a 1 and 2 only compared to 4 reaching a particular point and in a frequency of that particular waves. Now all these, there is a question on the electromagnetic visions because there is a scope to ask a question in large numbers. So it is important for us. So now if we discuss radio waves, therefore these waves do not have the negative impacts on the body. So allowing, now see, 24 to gigahertz, it is 24. Latency means the delay, so lower latency like talking about. So latency is important. Generally sometimes it is 9 seconds, sometimes it is 15 seconds. So whatever I am talking right now is basically having a latency. It is like live, there is always a delay. There is always a delay. So that is the statement 1, and that is the correct statement. That is the statement 1, and that is the correct statement. Now second statement is also correct. Massive MIMO, that is multiple output, is a key feature of 5G. Using multiple output is a key feature of 5G. Using multiple antennas. Now see, this is very simple thing. If you do not, to avoid this, we need to have multiple inputs. So therefore there should be lot many what you can say, the substations, multiple antennas, and the base stations. Like we have that, in simpler term we call it tower. So that tower has to be there existing. So that tower has to be there existing, and it has to exist in variable input. That amount of receiving statement, just link it to understand also, because simply because मतलब ओके अभी तो वो है नहीं, तो मतलब ओके अभी तो वो है नहीं, तो मतलब completely, I mean, ये क्या हो गया, ये whenever there is an absolute kind of statement, generally they tend to be incorrect. So always remember, if they are using the words like are completely immune, completely is the word. Now that idea, that should give you an idea that this is asking that it is altogether different. So we have to think and rethink that. Okay, this is completely, that means it is an absolute statement, and absolute statements are incorrect many a times. So while 5G networks incorporate advanced encryption and security protocols, they are not completely immune to cyber attacks. Vulnerability like network slicing for supply chain risk persist. Okay, so if you have any questions on this, the question you can put down into what you can be to help. Space sciences, and India is taking leaps of in terms of the missions and all those things. So here we are talking about the Gaganyaan mission. Okay, with reference to India's Gaganyaan mission of space station by ISRO, the following statements given above are correct. 1 and 2, 1 and 3, 2 and 3, and 1, 2 and 3. So let's see which of these are actual. Deployment of a space station by ISRO is wrong, right? So now the correct answer is 1 and 3. Now let's see the explanation of it. The Gaganyaan is India's first low Earth orbit. Low Earth orbit, and above that there is a after the medium Earth there is high Earth orbit. But here we are going to talk here in Gaganyaan mission from every significant point of view, from even from the India's perspectives in the science and technology, or in the space science also. So aiming to send astronauts to low Earth orbit and return them safely. So you have to send them and also bring them back. Now we can send the human beings, but 35. So deploy it is not within Gaganyaan, does not involve. And the second, the Bharatiya Antar Vayomitra is the humanoid robot designed to stimulate. Now stimulation involves doing the things before we send the robot, means humanoid functions in the space. Testing system, very very important, very enterprise also has been awarded for this. And two technological advancement questions. Now describes the term CRISPR-Cas, and AI being the answer, I hope. What is gene editing? What is first of all in editing? We cut photos. Nucleotides, by nucleotides I mean 4 nucleotides. Adenine will be in the dual form. Okay, and in the dual form, for example, one side if there is a cytosine, so it is a very variable for many things. Okay, even everything from sex chromosomes to even even for example height, color, hair color, eye color, everything is the genetic material is stored into that. So that genetic material is basically a gene editing gene. Basically, it is in the gene. So now this CRISPR-Cas basically allows a gene to be edited. For example, I can cut the gene now, and I can cut the gene very and I can cut the gene very precisely. It is not that precisely. It is not that I can gene editing. So whatever you have edited in, let's say you want the color of the year we are talking about. Quantum qubits which can exist in multiple states simultaneously due to superimposition. Important point over here is which can exist in multiple states simultaneously. Multiple states, okay. Multiple states, okay. Remember that we will discuss, but just for time being, remember that. All me is an absolute one, and I told you this might quantum computing that we will discuss simply what is stated. Now you will say what you are saying, but yes, in simply what is stated. Now you will say what you are saying, but yes, in quantum computing it is possible. Quantum mechanics, it makes it quantum computing it is possible. Quantum mechanics, it makes it possible that you can exist is possible. Quantum mechanics, it makes it possible that you can exist in the two states at simultaneously. Places exist at one state, you will exist out of that statement. First statement is, for example, what is the byte is a fundamental use. So like qubit, like byte, there was how they will be. All these very absolute words. All these very absolute words. Point in quantum computer is no